So I found this post on the Pokey Investing subreddit that I wanted to share with you all. So somebody found an old post from the Pokemon TCG subreddit from 7 years ago that is interesting to look on now, considering how expensive the product is today compared to how much it was back then. And it really goes to show that if you were investing in a Pokemon 5 plus years ago, especially before Sword and Shield, if you held anything XY, black and white, anything before that, your gains were exponential. It's actually wild when you actually see, how cheap things were prior to Sword and Shield, especially. So as you can see, this person says that they're $4,000 a box now. So let's just see this post. So you can see this person says black and white Noble Victories booster box worth a buy. And this was 7 years ago. Hi, I would like some advice from the Pokemon Reddit community on a purchase that I might make. I have the opportunity to buy 10 sealed booster boxes of black and white Noble Victories at $150 each. Wow, doesn't that sound like a discount today? Even for modern stuff right today. Modern booster boxes, Phantasm Flames was $300 at release. Mega Evolution, base was, around $300 at release. So it's kind of crazy to see the difference, in, just looking at how things are now. My question is simple. Is this a good buy? Are these boxes worth this kind of money? Are the cards in it worth anything? If I do buy them in, is it worth keeping them sealed for more year? And would they go up in 5 years time? Any advice or help would be much appreciated. Thank you. So this person, you can see, even back then, this was 7 years ago, was in the mindset of keeping it sealed. I'm telling you, people think this whole sealed investing, holding on to sealed stuff is a new thing. It's gotten more mainstream, but people have thought about this for some time. That's why some people have, gained significant wealth literally from holding on to, somewhat vintage booster boxes back then when they were dirt cheap. As you can see here, $150. Now, I don't know what the market price was 7 years ago. It's impossible really to find like good data from that far ago, but I'm guessing if this person is talking about $150, it's probably somewhat of a deal. But let's just look, because I actually found this post. Somebody actually showed it. Here is the original post. So I guess it was on the brink of being 8 years old, because now it's showing 8 years old. But you can see that this was a real post. This is not like some fake post. This is real, and you can see it's exactly the same as it's showing here. So yeah, pretty crazy. 8 years ago, this person asked to buy, should I buy these? And the investment would only be $1,500, which, I say only, but relative to what that is today, that's nothing, right? Look at what this person says. There's only one comment from 8 years ago, and it says, Noble Victories has basically no valuable cards in it besides the N full art. The only good cards from the set are N, which has been reprinted a ton of times. The Archeops, which is one of the 3 cards that are banned, so you can't even use it. They're talking about the game. There are a couple cards in the set that you can just buy at singles if you want to make some tier 3. Okay, they're talking about the game. So this person is saying there's no valuable cards. They're not saying that it's not worth buying the sealed product, but they're just talking about the set. And you can see obviously people found this post through the original one, or through the this post, and they're commenting, hopefully you bought some. But yeah, interesting to go back in time and see how the perspective of Pokemon and value was 7 8 years ago at this point. Pretty crazy to see that. So if you actually want to look and see, okay, how much is this booster box really 4,000? Because I don't always trust people on these Reddit posts. I always do my own research. You can't even buy a booster box on eBay of Noble Victories. You can't even buy one. Like if you scroll everywhere, they're not even selling it. But if you do go on price charting, the last box sold was back in May. That was what, 6 months ago, and it sold for about $5,000. I even checked sold listings from eBay. None were sold recently, so it's not like this is missing any sold listings. I can't find any. So yeah, pretty crazy. If this person just bought even one, or even if they bought all of them, whatever the case is, it was $150, and now today it's probably $4 to $5 grand. So yeah, it's interesting to see how value and the boxes were at the time, 7, 8 years ago, and compared to now, um, it's not extreme obviously to see boxes that are in the thousands of dollars today, but back then I don't even know what boxes were. I don't even know how much a base set box was at 8 years ago, before all this boom stuff, any of the booms really happened. It's interesting, but you have to think about it this way: nobody knows the future, right? Especially back then, the Pokemon boom in the last 5 years has been more than anything that people probably could have predicted, other than maybe Pokemon Go, which what was that, 2016 or something. Um, it's kind of crazy to see how cheap 100, just think about it, $150. It's not that much, right? For one booster box, and if you were just to buy one and hold on to it, today it's worth 4 or 5 grand. But obviously, the big thing you have to talk about is, okay, would you have sold it when it doubled, tripled, quadrupled? Most people do, and that's where it's like anything, any sort of investment. You look back a decade ago, it's all hindsight, because most people would have sold along the way. That's the takeaway. But there's something interesting also, I guess, just personal, I wanted to talk about that I don't know if I've ever shared with you guys. There was a point in time I was actually considering buying a black and white booster box, Emerging Powers. Now, why was I ever gonna buy an Emerging Powers booster box? Well, at the time, this was the cheapest black and white booster box. This was about a year, 2 years ago. I was heavily considering buying one of these, because there was a listing for one for about $1,400, and I was just gonna buy it. Even though, if you guys know anything about black and white, I don't know that much about it. This is when I sort of started collecting Pokemon. Emerging Powers is like one of the worst sets. It doesn't have much at all. It's very valueless. But I was like, okay, just to get a black and white box, I was like 1,300 or 1,400. It was around there. I was like, I might just buy it. I never did. Also, during this time, there was a Plasma Blast, which was around 2 grand. I was considering any of these black and white boxes. I never picked up any of them, just to let you guys. I mean, obviously, and look at what they are at now. You can see lowest listed 5 grand, 7 grand, 5,500. If you go to price charting, you can see most recent sold was about a month and a half ago for 4,500, and the one just before that 4,300. So the investment would have like tripled or something if I bought it a year or so ago. But honestly, okay, considering at the time I was also buying other boxes, which if you do the math, I've also tripled. So I really didn't lose much, other than now I'm not really gonna consider buying the booster box at like 4 or 5 grand. I'm not gonna buy one, but it would be interesting just to have it as a collection piece, because I was strictly really gonna buy it as a collection piece. Obviously, it's somewhat of an investment, but it was mainly because I just wanted a black and white box, and 1,300, 1,400 in my mind is relatively not that crazy to buy at. But 4 or 5 grand, okay, once you get to that point, it is getting kind of steep. But I was heavily considering buying one of these. I never did it because I'm like, I don't know. I just, it was a hard pill for me to swallow, like $1,300, but I was really considering it. Never did it. So that's I guess an interesting backstory. I was really considering buying this because it was, compared to other black and white boxes, I was saving a few $100s. So yeah, interesting thing to look back for me as well. But let's just see what some people have to say here. Hopefully he bought and is still holding. So, like I said, I mean, most people, if they buy a booster box, especially during this time, 8 years ago at 150, and let's say they sold, maybe they could have, even if they did buy this, right, they could have sold during the 2020, 2021 boom. That could have 100% happened because, I mean, boxes, Pokemon, everything skyrocketed at that point. And I don't know if anybody saw this boom coming, right, this most recent one. So it's possible this person sold everything a while ago. I wouldn't be surprised. And you can be sure that all people scrolled by thinking he was an idiot wanting to invest in a set for 150 each, and rightfully at the time. So yeah, I mean, everything's relative, right? Some pretty crazy old Bitcoin messages like this too. Having lots of money to spend makes it easy to make money. That is very true. I mean, you look at Bitcoin. I mean, there's plenty of stories. You guys remember? I know this is totally unrelated. If you're even watching this video to this point, do you guys know that video where this person says just buy $1 of Bitcoin and it got like super popular? It's like that, right? But during the time, I mean, it was new and all this stuff. Same thing with Pokemon, right? $150 at the time was probably expensive. Modern boxes were probably like $90. So yeah, I mean, everything's relative, and this is a very true statement. Having lots of money to spend makes it easy to make money. Yeah, if you think about it, 15, like I said, I mean, 150 times 10 boxes, that's $1,500. If somebody has millions of dollars, what is that, right? If they like Pokemon and they, whatever, they'll just buy it and maybe, keep it as some sort of collection investment. And if they never need money, they're not even thinking about it. One day they look at it and, they've made a huge gain. that can happen, right? When you have money and nothing to worry about, just buy whatever. And if you hold on to it, and especially before any of these booms, your gain would have been exponential. And this person did, link the user, and that's how I found the post. This is why you ignore random people on Reddit telling you what to buy and make your own decisions. Yeah, but you have to understand this was 8 years ago. It was very different 8 years ago. Hold. You could say that practically any box that's 7 years old. I mean, exactly. This is just one example, guys. Any box you would have bought, even Sun and Moon. I mean, during this time, when was Team released? Like 7 years ago, something like that. It was at one point $100. I mean, and now it's what, 8 to 10 grand. Anything would have exploded in value. This is just one example of a post that somebody found that was old. If you are new and about to buy a newly released box for 300, look at this post and see what things used to be like. Yeah, I know. If you guys just got into Pokemon within the last 5 years and you've never even heard about the TCG or even cared about it, things were very different back then. I remember back then I used to go to flea markets, and this was I'm talking about like 10 years ago, and you could easily, I was buying booster packs for like $3, like out of a booster box. Booster boxes were about $90 to $100. That's not a flea market, and they were real. They weren't fake cards. It was like this lady. It's crazy how things have obviously changed. And back then, they also, I don't know if you guys remember, they used to have Dollar Tree packs. I used to buy a ton of those. Yeah. So just want to share this post. I like these types of posts. They're very interesting to look at when you go back in history and see how things were very different. And yeah, everything's hindsight. Right now, we're looking at things that are expensive. For example, Destined Rivals, all these boxes. You don't know what they're going to be. Pokemon may never reprint some of these for whatever reason. You just don't know. And then some might explode in value. Nothing's predictable. Obviously we're trying to make our best guesses here and there, but truly you don't know what's going to happen. And this is an example of somebody. I mean, if they just spent $1,500, what is the gain they would have saw on $1,500? It'd be extraordinary, right? So that's all I wanted to share in this video. Let me know down in the comments below. Have you guys had an experience like this where you were thinking about buying something back then, and relative to the price now, it was extremely dirt cheap? I shared one example with you guys with Emerging Powers, and that was just a year or two ago. But yeah, and I guess one thing I forgot, I don't know if I showed you guys, but just if you didn't believe me how much the box was like a year or so ago, look here. 2024, you go back to early 2024, it was like $1,500. I remember those listing for $1,400, and I was considering buying it. But yeah, that's all I'm going to show in this video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.